Hi there, this is Darren from SimNation. Just doing a quick recap video for SNCFL. We just completed National Signing Day, so that's a big mile marker for the league. Um, the regular season will likely start on Saturday of this coming week. SNCFL, of course, is a draft day sports college football league. We run 2024. When the summer comes around and 2025 comes out, we'll probably adopt that as well. It's a really good league. We have quite a few active coaches in it, but really want to just kind of do a quick recap video of where we are, and uh, we'll talk a little bit about just the preseason and what came out of the National Signing Day. So let's talk about preseason real quick. Maryland is not number one, UCLA is, so congrats, Stuart. For those you don't know, Stewart made it to the finals last year. Of course, Maryland came back and won that one. Um, but that's a good thing for Stewart. He also is the number four team, also has the number 11 team, and I don't think he has any other teams. I could be wrong on that. But Duke had a pretty good offseason as well. Maryland comes in at number two. That's a first for some time. Frankie's at number three with Oklahoma State. Shark is at number five with Georgia. Number six, Miami's actually open. This used to be Gary. Gary's moved to West Virginia. So um, if you're interested, this is a great team to take. Number seven is Florida State, which is just Sample. And he has done a really good job over the years with them. Then you have USC coming in next. If I'm not mistaken, USC I think is Brian. Skelter is at number 9 with Louisiana Monroe. And then Alabama I think is Spoof, if I remember correctly. They keep moving around. Central Florida is Cable, another really good coach. Clemson is also Spoof. Um, and this will be fun because I just moved to Louisville, so I get to actually take on some of the ACC folks for once, as opposed to just victimizing the Big Ten. Joe Dorman has Wisconsin, and they made a lot of good noise last year, so it'll be interesting to see what they do this year. I think Georgia Southern is DWK, if I remember correctly. Washington State is another one of those open teams. Um, Cincinnati is, I think, DWK too, if I remember correctly. Houston is open. Louisiana Lafayette is open. Auburn is open if you have any interest. Rutgers is Kevin. He's done a really good job with Gary's now at West Virginia. Shark is Iowa State. Bama is at Virginia Tech, and then DP is at Ohio State, which rounds out our top 25. Top recruiting class by just sheer points was Skelter with Louisiana Monroe. Louisville came in at number two. That's my zero to hero team, but that's honestly because I cut 50 of the players and I signed like 45 players. So that's the only reason why they're there. Congrats to DWK at number three. Maryland came in at number five. Stewart at number six with UCLA. Kent State, if I remember correctly, I want to say Kent State is Brian. Um, yeah, Kent State's Brian. So Western Michigan is against Stewart, and he gets the next three with Western Michigan, Michigan, and Duke, all three of his teams. So he had all four of his teams in the top 10. That's pretty good. Louisville came in at number one, prestige relative. That makes sense. Skelter came in at number four with Buffalo. Don Lucky came in at number five with Penn State. Um, and if I miss somebody, don't get mad at me, please, because I do that all the time. And then I don't think that there's anybody else that was on that list. Um, from a National Signing Day perspective, if we go and look at this, Kevin brought in the number one class from a quarterback, Stewart with running backs, and then Stewart again with wide receivers, so UCLA and then Michigan. Kevin again came in at number one with tight ends, and then offensive line was Coastal Carolina. This is Shark. And then number one class for defensive lineman was Cincinnati. That's DWK. Uh, Stewart kind of ties Kevin and DWK for the most slots at number one. He came in at number one with linebackers. Boise State's an open team, if I remember correctly. And then, of course, DWK with the safeties. Um, and if you just look at it, is the Atlantic Coast had a okay season in terms of recruiting. Louisville again is just sheer numbers. Running back and linebacker will make sense, and quarterback because those were areas that they really needed. But as you can see, is Florida State, Miami, and NC State all were um, pretty high up there. And if I remember correctly, NC State's now Starfinder. So good job there, Starfinder. Um, if you look at the American Athletic, there's only one, which makes sense. There's not many coaches in the American Athletic. A little shocked with the Big 12, but it was an off year. You got Van Hill with Kansas, Shark with Iowa State. Oklahoma, I think, is. I'm sorry, Gary is at Oklahoma, not at West Virginia. And then, of course, Skeletor, if I remember correctly, is now at Nebraska. So the Big 12 is kind of becoming a power conference again. So this is Gary with offensive linemen. Big Ten wise, you can see again, we talked about those, but Maryland shows up a couple places as well. Michigan State is a CPU team, but you have Don and you have Joe. Illinois is also a CPU team. Um, so those are some teams I would look at. And just continuing to go around the horn is not much there for Conference USA, nothing there for Independence. The MAC, this makes sense because this is Brian and Stewart, who are two really good human coaches. Mountain West, not much there. Um, Pac-12, again, Fresno State, I think, is Starfinder, if I remember correctly. Of course, we talked about Brian, we talked about UCLA. So really good job there for them. And then, of course, in the Southeast, you have quite a few coaches here, actually. So LSU, if I remember correctly, is Van, I think. I think Van took over LSU. Um, SOA is at Florida. I don't know why that one's escaping me like it did. I didn't mean to click that. But so just again in general, um, and then of course we talked about all the other teams. So Sunbelt wise, again, Coastal Carolina is a little bit of a threat to everybody because Sharks done a good job at bringing them around. So is Georgia Southern. You saw that they were ranked. So it should be interesting to see how this plans out. If we look at the details, um, so really what you have here is in the top 10, you have UCLA with 3 teams, Maryland with 3 teams, and then Oklahoma State with 2, and then Wisconsin with 1. Um, I will say that um, I think Herman, we'll talk about the quarterbacks real quick. So you look at this, it's a pretty solid quarterback for Frankie. The intelligence is probably not as good as you'd like, but again, he's the number 1 overall recruit. In my eyes, outside of the hands, Vaughn is going to be a really good running back, especially in the hands of someone like Stewart. Herman is someone I was high on. He's a little bit more mobile than most of the quarterbacks, but there's a chance he could actually start this year or be the prime backup. I think Johnson's back, so at Maryland, so he'll definitely be there. Warren will definitely start as a freshman. He was a good find for Maryland. Camacho is a bust. I won't be shocked if Stewart moves him to a different position, but as a 5-star, this is a guy who's going to take a while to develop, and he may never actually develop. Danielle Harris, again, another good find for Frankie at guard. Um, Riley Elliott, not great, but not bad either. This is a box safety. Inside of the Big Ten, this is a pretty good, solid one for Joe. Uh, and then, of course, you have defensive end wise. This is a good defensive end. So really good. He's got versatility. You can play him in a lot of different places. He's a workout fanatic, so he's only going to get better. So Alfonso Lane's a good one. And then I think Maryland hit a little bit of a jackpot with this tight end. Arguably was the best tight end in the class. Tight ends do right now. I think we're influencing the tight end position maybe by like 5% on speed, just to try to create what is really more like reality nowadays. Grigsby, this is a bust. In some ways, he's really strong, which is good. He'll be good against the run, but the Pac-12 is not known entirely as a running conference. So when he goes up against UCLA, that's not going to help. And then if you just look at it, some other notables is like Rasheen Self. I like this guy a lot. I was actually sad that I couldn't get my hands on him, but I really didn't go hard after him because he was in Michigan and I knew Stewart was going after him. But this is going to be a really good running back for Stewart. So he's one of the players I like the most in this class. Candidly, Ostrander was my favorite player in this class, which is one of the reasons why I went after him as hard as I did. Herman is good, but Maryland doesn't have the need for that position right now. Grisham is a good strong safety. Again, he's a faster box safety, but in the Big 12 that will pay dividends to Frankie specifically. And then another guy that I really liked. By the way, 4 stars are very, very important. Is Sky Sykes. So great job in getting Sykes at Michigan, especially since he's from California. But this is a really good cover safety. So in general, of all the classes, I really like Michigan's class actually the most. Most of them. Just because I think Stewart did a really good job with that class. And you can kind of see it here. The overall doesn't really matter, but overall sometimes can mean a lot more. Because if you look at Marino, again, not fast, but he's a really solid wide receiver. So I mean, I think he did really, really good with this class. Another class that I'm pretty high on is, well, I'm high on Louisville's, but that's for selfish reasons. I think Iowa State had a pretty good class as well. Shark just continues to grow that team. They're already really, if you look at them, I don't think I'm logged in as, I'm pretty sure I'm not. So if we look at their history, what you can see about, oh, never mind, it's only going to show this. So all in all, really good recruiting season for a lot of people. There was a lot of really good talent out there this year. And I'll probably do another video on that because some people have asked me just to kind of look at it the way I do. Um, and I always get torn up about those videos only because I'm essentially giving you my secret sauce, which I'm fine giving, but it just means that it's going to make it that much harder. I know some people get mad at me, like someone already DM'd me about Louisville's quarterback, about why I didn't say anything about him. Well, I didn't say anything about him because I knew I was taking Louisville and I wasn't going to give him away. Actually, I did go after him with South Carolina as well, but he wasn't a good fit for South Carolina, so I backed off and just let Louisville go after him. Also, for those you don't know, I live in Richmond, so I know exactly where John Marshall is. It's not out where I live, but it's an okay football school. Here in Richmond, there are a couple mega powers, and John Marshall's not really one of them. But hopefully this helps you a little bit with understanding how the league is playing out. As you can see, is Stewart had a really great recruiting year. Again, I think Michigan probably had the best class in my eyes. Uh, but I think the other thing about it is um, you continue to see, as a commissioner, what I want to see is I want to see different teams here. In the past, you would see like Maryland dominating this, Louisiana Monroe dominating this, your traditional powers. But seeing like Kevin Hill with Rutgers, that is really, really good. And if we look at Rutgers real quick, Kevin had a pretty good class too, which is just in keeping with him. He has traditionally done very good at building his classes out. So as you can see, he got 2 really good quarterbacks. McCulloch maybe not the best at throwing the ball long, but he's a really good short quarterback, short to medium quarterback. And then he balanced that well with bringing in Tice. Numbers Tice is a fun name. And then, of course, he's again building things out pretty well. Will, if you look at tight end, Alicio Lewis has good speed, not mega speed, but that's decent speed for a tight end. And again, he got a good one for Andy Fitzgerald. They got David Hopkins, who has speed, maybe not the hands, but in general, he's done a pretty good job there. So Rutgers is a team I'd keep an eye on in addition to Michigan. So the Big Ten should be a really interesting season this year. So that's it for now. I'll try to do more of these videos, but my hope is that uh, you'll look at our league and maybe join. And if you do, I'll put the details in the chat. I'm sorry, in the video itself. Kind of got distracted there for a second. So have a great night and thank you for your time.